Alright, this is just going to be kind of a build video of what I've been doing lately. There's been a number of significant changes here that I've used. I thought it was worth doing another build video. So just getting into it. This is a 5 light, 1 heavy, 1 medium build. I've got 5 of Julianos and 5 of the Lich, and basically a monster set of the Mighty Chudens. Now, getting into the jewelry, I've got 2 rings of the Lich and 1 necklace of Julianos. This is the arcane trait, and I've got them glyphed for stamina recovery. Now you might think that's kind of counterproductive, but if you'll notice, at this point is pretty much where you want your stamina recovery or higher. And the reason I say that is when you're out there and you're battling multiple opponents, you're going to get CC'd, and if you can't break free using your stamina, you're going to have a really hard time out there. So this is why I have that there. I've got 1 necklace of Julianos, and the trait here is Bloodthirsty, which increases the damage against enemies under 25% health by 10%. So this really helps my Mage's Wrath, and it really helps me to finish off enemies better. Getting into the weapons, I've got an infused fire staff with disease damage. Now, due to the passives, I'll show you here. Under your destruction staff, equipping with a flame staff increases your damage done with single target abilities by 8%. I didn't really even know that earlier, and I was running around with the lightning staff. So this is really kind of up my game as far as damage done. So that's been one really positive aspect to the build. On my back bar, I have an infused restoration staff, and I've got a weapon and spell damage glyph on that. Basically, what I do is light attack with this, and that will increase my weapon and spell damage by 452. Actually, my spell damage is at 2300. It goes to just a tad under 2900 fully activated, so that's really worth it having that on there. If you can light attack, it'll only give it to you for 5 seconds, but then you can go that 5 seconds, weave another light attack and that sort of thing, and it'll really help you out quite a bit. Now you're probably thinking, you know, this is kind of an unusual glyph to have on a magicka character. Now this is kind of a stamina based glyph, as disease damage is more or less a stamina ability, but what happens is a glyph puts on minor befoul, which in this patch from a piece of armor I read was 22%. Now some people tell you it's 15%, some people say 20%. The piece of armor that I read said 22%, so I'm going to go with that. And I've got 83 points into befoul, and this increases the effectiveness of your healing reduction abilities by 53%. So basically, altogether, my healing reduction runs at about 75%, so if my enemy is trying to heal and his tick was, say, normally going for 2,000, well, now he's only going to be able to heal for 500. So that has a pretty significant effect. And then just before I made this video, a couple AD tried to kill me, and they were pretty high level. And one of them I killed pretty much right away. The other one, it was a sorcerer, so I had to kind of whittle him down. And basically I was hitting him, and he wasn't able to heal at all. So this really reduced his chances of winning, and he ran off, and I was kind of too lazy to chase him. But anyway, that's how that went. So that's how that went. So you know, kind of where I'm at with that. The reason I used Mighty Chuden is I was able to get rid of Boundless Storm. Boundless Storm was filling up one of my slots, and basically I have Major Ward and Major Resolve here, and plus I gain another additional 3,000 spell and physical resistance. So it makes it worth it. It freed up a slot for me, and I replaced it with this Dark Conversion. This has gone a long way to my magicka recovery, and it also gives you a heal as well. So that's why I've used that, and that plus points in the champion points makes me really tanky. Now getting into the Lich is another set that I really like, and I'll show you in a sec what it actually does. Okay. Okay, my magicka recovery now is at 3057. That'll last for 20 seconds. And with the potion, I'm all the way up to 3481. So that's basically why I use the Lich. The Lich set has really saved me, especially when I'm fighting a lot of people and that sort of thing. Or when you're fighting, say, a boss or something like that, you don't have to really get into the heavy attacks too much at all, because you know the magic recover is basically always going to be there for you. So I'm going to go ahead and get into the champion points. I'm going to start out with the damage section. I've got 72 into Master at Arms. That gives me an increase of damage done with direct attacks, damage attacks by 23%. Elemental Expert, this covers Flame Frost, Shock, and Magic damage done by 14%. And of course, Spell Penetration. And last I have Elfborn. Now, typically running with a critical of about 52%, you'd think I'd have more points into this, but this, and this actually all feed that, so this is really kind of dependent on the other three. Now I've got 56 into Ironclad, I've got 18 into Spell Shield, I've got 52 into Critical Resistance. Now I've got 42 points into Physical Resistance, giving me about 3,500 physical resistance, and I've got this, and stacked with the Mighty Chuden here, I've got about a total of 21k resistances, and I got them as close as I could. But anyway, That's where they're at. 43 into hardy, 43 into elemental defender. I've only got 16 into bastion because your shields only cover up to half your health anyway. 56 into warlord. 75 into arcanist. 56 into mooncalf. Remember, stamina recovery is really important here. And of course I've got 53 points into befoul. Now, from what I read on a piece of armor, minor befoul being 22%. Well, if you add that on top of this, basically your enemy is going to have about a 75% healing reduction on them. So they're just not going to be able to heal. And that I've tested this on a few friends, and they can verify that they've had really a lot of trouble healing from that. I guess I'll just get into the skills. On my back bar, I've got Hunting Curse, I've got Streak, I've got Power Surge, I've got Dark Conversion, and I've got Mutagen. Now basically, before starting a fight, what I'll do is if I'm not buffed up already, I'll be sure to use this. Now I'll hit the Dark Conversion for that extra 6% critical, and I'll hit Mutagen. What I'll do first is typically I strike the enemy with Haunting Curse, and then I light attack with my Restoration Staff, which will bring up my spell damage quite a bit. Then I'll go to the front bar and hit him with those skills. I actually, this is my ultimate I have on my Restoration Staff, Light Champion. This can really help you and your group. If you get into a moment where you are losing health and you feel like you're going to lose the battle, don't worry, just pop this and you're good to go. On my front bar, I've got Force Pulse, I've got Rune Cage, I've got Crystal Fragments, Mage's Wrath, and of course Hardened Word. And this is my ultimate that I've used as Dawnbreaker Smutting. Ever since the nerf came to Ice Comet, I really felt that the amount of ultimate that it cost and the damage it gave you really wasn't so worthwhile, so I decided to go with the Dawnbreaker Smutting, and it's just about always there for you, and it works really, really well. So those are the skills I use. So ideally you want to get your healing from 2 places. Basically, I've got Power Surge. Every time I hit with a critical strike, I get a heal. And I've got Mutagen. So using those will really help you out. If you can stay inside your shield and just heal, you should be in pretty good shape. Now, if you'll notice on the left side of the screen, the Mutagen is critting for about 50% of the time. Those heals can be pretty significant, so it's just something to consider. This is a single shield build. Ever since I've used it this way, it's vastly improved over the double shield, as my heals pretty much take care of me. my spell and physical resistance are pretty high, so what does get past my shield is going to run into all that resistance anyway, and I'm pretty much going to be able to heal through that. So basically that's how this has worked.
City walls are no barrier to the king.
I'll go ahead and show you. Okay, there's my 6% spell power potion. As you can see, the build still kills pretty quickly, as in spite of being a fairly low spell damage. I'm gonna go ahead and hit this guy. As you can see, my spell damage is now up to I'm all the way up to 2892. As you can see, my crystal frag critted for almost 32k. So as you can see, it does put out quite a bit of damage. One other thing I'm going to go ahead and get into here. I've tried various things. Nirnhone to me is just about useless. I've tried a few different things with Nirnhone. Infused is really the way to go. Now, when you're down here, when you're not against a daedra or something like that, shock damage does the most damage. But when you're down in Imperial City, the thing to do is have a prismatic enchant. I'll show you here. As you can see, the prismatic enchant is doing a lot of damage. And it'll crit about 50% of the time as well. So that's worth having when you're down here. But when you're fighting players, I would have to say this is probably the best one. So this is the one I typically use. It really goes a long way to stopping players from healing. And all the better players tend to have pretty high sources of healing, so you know that's pretty important. I've won a lot of fights with this, so that's kind of important to have. So it does a lot of damage, and you don't take a lot of damage. Now, one other thing I wanted to cover is currently I don't have the Undaunted leveled yet. Once I get that leveled, my health is going to go up and my magic is going to go up significantly, which is going to really help with a lot of things. So anyway, I guess that's about it. That's the latest as far as skills go. What I want you to do is notice the rate of healing that I get. Notice my power surge is healing me for about 2167. Those are critical heals.
I pity the Tremora. They cannot comprehend the majesty of a Zivkin.
I'll just attack this guy real quick. Notice all the heals I'm getting from mutagen and power surge. Just about between the two of them, maybe 3,000 per tick. So yeah, this build is really hard to beat. I've been able to do a lot of things with it. So anyway, I guess that's about it. Now you guys know what I've been running out here. I've kind of preferred this over running Imperial Physique or anything like that. Reason is the regen is just there when you need it, and you're pretty much unlimited as in terms of what you can do and that sort of thing, and that's been really helpful. If you're playing a Sorc the right way, typically you want to control the fight with distance. You know, if you're you can streak through people, come out on the other side. If you have a Zerg coming towards you, you can typically get away from them pretty well. All the better Sorcs pretty much use these techniques. So anyway, I guess that's about it. I'll go ahead and wrap this up, and hopefully I'll see you guys out there. Take care.